I had a very different video planned for today. But I felt like what happened yesterday and moving into the day kind of needed to be more talked about than I did yesterday because we brought it up yesterday, uh, but the gravity of it really didn't sink in until I saw the fallout of it yesterday on Twitter. And I still have the video that I planned for today coming out tomorrow. This one is not going to be sponsored or have any crazy editing or anything like that. It's a rather somber video, and I've seen a lot of really bad comments and discussion revolving around it. So I just wanted to put my 10 cents in there, and I don't really know what else. So if you don't know what happened yesterday, 1,900 people got laid off from Xbox, and the majority of those were under the Activision Blizzard banner. Now, a chunk of those had to do with a survival game that Blizzard was working on. They were working on a game that was a survival game. We don't really know much about it, but I think pretty much everyone working on that game got laid off, which is horrible. And then a ton of people, specifically, this is what I'm going to be talking about, within the Call of Duty community got laid off. And if you don't know the gravity of this, let me show you one thing. So this is from Charlie Intel. He has some inside sources to give him some better numbers, but he said Sledgehammer Games lost 30% of their staff, High Moon Studio lost 10% of their staff, and Toys for Bob lost over 30% of their staff. Treyarch, Infinity Ward, Raven, Solid State, Beanox, and Demonware had many layoffs as well. If you don't know, that's essentially every single studio that works on Call of Duty. And that is a very big deal. I don't know what it means for the future of Call of Duty moving forward, but it is 100% going to affect it. Now, the most immediate one would be that 30% that got laid off at Sledgehammer. That is the game that is currently out as of right now, and I don't know how this is going to affect the current release cycle of seasons and content for Modern Warfare 3. Their next game isn't slated till 2027, so the future of their games, who knows what's going to go on with that. We actually just talked about that yesterday. But as far as the rest of Modern Warfare 3, I have no idea. I have a feeling a lot of the content is probably already done. If you didn't hear, the day before that this happened, they announced that Sledgehammer is looking for a new studio. I believe they were in San Francisco before. I've been there once, but now they are all working remote. They're looking for a new studio, and now 30% of their staff has been laid off. And I just want to start by saying I feel horrible for any of the developers that this has happened to. I've seen so many comments of people saying, oh, good, maybe now they'll address skill-based matchmaking, or yeah, get rid of these fools because they made a horrible game. That is such a horrible take. And if you're one of those people saying that, you need to have a look at the mirror at your own life, because that's just ridiculous. You need to realize that these people working on these games may be pouring their heart and soul into one individual thing. Maybe it's a weapon model. Maybe it's a couple character skins. Maybe it's this or that, or a map or a game mode or something like that. But they are doing everything they can to bring you the best possible game. They aren't making the skill-based matchmaking decisions. They aren't making these broad overall decisions. These people that got laid off put their heart and soul into the games that you play every single day. And to say something like that, you need to look in the mirror at your own life and figure out what you're doing to have that hate in your heart. But hey, maybe that's a little aggressive. I said this video is going to be a little bit somber. Now, I wanted to get into my worries a little bit, because if you didn't know, Xbox bought Activision and Blizzard. And when it happened, we all thought it was going to be a good thing. Now there was going to be more assets put into the game, more people able to work on it, more money available to create better and better games. And Xbox, specifically Phil Spencer, has a pretty good track record with that. But with what just happened, there has been a discussion comparing Call of Duty to Halo. And I wanted to show you that real quick. So this is from Jason Schreier. He's a very reputable video game journalist, and he handles a lot of leaks. And what he has to say here is, As usual, one of the Halo Infinite's biggest development problems was labor. A large chunk of 343 workers were on contracts and couldn't stay longer than 18 months due to Microsoft's restrictions. Full-time promotions were rare, so the studio was constantly losing talent and knowledge. The entirety of Microsoft has a long history of using and being sued for abusing contractors. And then someone by the name of Ben Gilbert responds, "This contractors bit is fascinating to me. Surely Microsoft leadership knows that it takes longer than 18 months to make a AAA huge game like Infinite. So why employ so many contractors? Is this just a bureaucracy thing where Microsoft is huge and makes lots of other things?" Schreier responds by saying the limit is because they want to avoid the permatemp situation that got them sued a while back, but they insist on still having X% of headcount contractors because of corporations. So what the hell does this mean? To be blunt, I think they're missing a big part of what is going on here. When you have full-time people working on games and those games do well, most of the higher-ups at least make bonuses based off of the sales of games, how much money the games make, and how well they do. So believe it or not, I know a lot of people think Call of Duty developers just don't listen and don't want a better game. They want the best game possible because the more it sells or the more microtransactions that sells, that's a whole different conversation. The more money they're going to make. When they introduce contractors like this, they can pay them less. And on top of that, not have to worry about things like unionizing, people becoming permatemps and then suing like they talked about. There's a whole other situation revolving around that, which if you don't understand what that means, essentially the permatemp thing has to do with someone permanently or at least semi-permanently being a temporarily employee. When they can get laid off at any time, they're on contract, they can be let go really without any notice and not getting promotions, not getting brought on to full-time. That's kind of the whole permatemp situation. Now, I want to be clear about something because some people that got laid off had to do with things like BattleNet, which I'm assuming Xbox is going to be phasing out, in lieu replacing it with things like Steam and their own launcher and Game Pass. So some of those layoffs do make a little bit of sense. The other ones that do is they laid off pretty much everyone that had to do with putting out physical media. So those discs that Xbox puts out, yeah, they're not going to be a thing for very much longer because all of those people got laid off too. Some of that I do somewhat understand. But when a huge chunk of Call of Duty developers are getting laid off, keep in mind, Call of Duty makes like $3 billion a year. Now, as far as Call of Duty moving forward, if they do what they did to Halo Infinite and the game can't get completed, things go unfinished, things along those lines, Call of Duty is legitimately in trouble. And I get it. People comment on my videos every single day saying Call of Duty is dead. As far as I'm concerned, this is the first thing that has happened in 15, 20 years that could actually be something that kills Call of Duty. If they don't have the manpower to make good games, if they don't have these veteran people who have been there for game and know how to make these games and know the secrets that go in behind them and how to actually pull off this year after year, it's worrisome. Now, from everything that I'm seeing, I haven't seen a ton of people get laid off at Treyarch, which is the next Call of Duty game, and I'm willing to bet there's a reason for that. They want to get that game out there, and I wouldn't be surprised if after that game came out, more people at Treyarch got laid off. And that's one thing that I have seen, because after this happened, all of these developers took to Twitter saying, "I'm saddened, I've been let go. If anyone knows of any jobs, let me know," things like that. But a lot of these people were not new to Blizzard or not new to Activision or not new to Sledgehammer. A lot of these people had been there for years. So not having that talent on a team to make a Call of Duty game, whether you like it or not, is not a good thing for Call of Duty. This isn't going to help make better games in the long run. And the one thing that I want to hear more about or understand more fully is why. If Call of Duty isn't making Xbox as much money as they want, they need to come forth and say that. If they are trying to push it in a new direction, they need to be open with that. If they are just doing this to save money, hoping that the people that they kept around are going to work harder, well, that's not going to work because all those people that are still there are now terrified for their jobs. But I personally am worried. this is not a good thing for Call of Duty. And whether you like the current games or hate them, this isn't something that's going to help the future Call of Duty games. So it's a somber day. It's not a good thing. And I don't know what happens next. I would love to hear what you guys have to say. I don't want to hear anyone being rude or anything like that in the comments towards the developers, because it has nothing to do with it. And if you say that, you have no idea what you're talking about. But yeah, that's what we know for now. That's the effect that it's going to have moving forward. And hopefully Call of Duty doesn't go the way of Halo. But let me know what you think. If you enjoyed, like button, subscribe, all of that jazz. But till next video, it'll be a better one. It'll be more uplifting, I promise. But until next time, peace.